All right, hello everyone, and welcome to General Meeting number 5 of the Decentralized AI Agent Alliance, or DAIA. We have got, let's see, a full agenda here. Hold on a moment. There we go. So first, we start every meeting restating our mission, which is to foster the development and proliferation of decentralized AI agents through education, activism, research, and events. That's on our homepage. The agenda today, as in past meetings, will start with new members introducing themselves. So if you have not yet introduced yourself at a prior DAIA meeting, it'd be great if you did so today. So just raise your hand and we'll call folks in the order of the hands raised. After the introductions, we'll go into a general update of the business of DAIA. As most of the business of DAIA happens at the subgroup, we'll spend the most time with the subgroup updates. So we've got the 5 ongoing subgroups, and I think we have a number of new subgroups to talk about today. And then we'll have an open discussion if there's anything that any of the members want to discuss, and then finish with a few member asks. So first, with regards to the DAIA membership, we are up to 94 what we call project members or corporate members. And then we've got 22 individual members. So we're up to 126 total members. And recent new project members, these are logos that have been added to the DAIA website in the last couple of weeks. And with that, I will stop sharing, and we see we got a couple hands up, and we'll start with Ian.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I'm Ian. I work at a payments company where we're building, currently the Web 2 version or the fiat version of payments, but very much interested in the where commerce is going with the agentic, angle on things. I'm based in South Africa, and very grateful for the move in meeting time.
Oh, cool. Where in South Africa?
In Johannesburg.
Okay, cool. Glad you could make it. So welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for letting me in.
Next up is Adam.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Hi, everybody. My name is Adam Sandor, a 9-year veteran at Microsoft working on financial software, Dynamics 365. And then for the past 5 years in the Azure Compute and AI division, working on AI agents before that was a term, which was kind of fun. But I'm looking for new opportunities, and I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia, so the time is great by me either way. And yeah, I really appreciate letting me join and let me get to know you guys.
Okay, cool. And we've got a Crypto Mondays Atlanta chapter.
Ah, perfect.
Yeah, so just the easiest way to find is just Google.
Excellent. Thanks.
So welcome. Next up is Ben-Hur.
Hey everyone, I am Ben-Hur, representing Oxcart. We are focused on governance in the DAO space, or just general Web3. Currently collaborating with a few different L1s as well as L2s and DAOs. We will be spinning up the governance subgroup. So I guess over the next, throughout the entire month of June, I'm really excited to join some of the other subgroups and learn how things are being managed and handled. And just super curious to contribute. We have been having more of a focus on delegates and restaking specifically, but just curious about how others are going about handling their subgroup and operations.
Terrific, thanks, Ben-Hur. And I'm very excited for the governance group. The other guy that Ben-Hur is working with at Oxcart, spinning up the group, Mel, is one of the smarter people I have met on governance. So I think it's going to be a super interesting subgroup to work on, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm interested in that one too. It's you know, I'm an attorney in New York and LA, and I've done a lot of work on DAOs. And the governance of DAOs is very interesting to me, primarily because of the purpose. You know, the purpose is often ownership of a token and then other purposes. So, you know, you get this sort of bifurcated, you know, some people want there to be egalitarianism, others feel like the token economics is more important, you know. So
Cool. Okay, thanks. Next up, we got Danny Ellis.
Hi, I'm a co-founder of bitdegree.org. We were pioneers in blockchain plus education, created some of the world's first use cases of blockchain in education,
You guys
starting
have
with
been around for a
credentials.
while. When did you start?
8 years.
Wow.
8 years, 2017. It's been a long ride and we are still riding it. And, you know, narratives change, technologies emerge. So this is like from 2022, when we tried to do a metaverse. It was the year of metaverse, but once, you know, Facebook fired all the metaverse employees, you know, we had to stop that due to lack of funding, unfortunately. But today I have learned, you know, about this Roblox hidden library that has all the texts that are forbidden, you know, somewhere else. So I think that was the original mission of creating like Alexandria in the metaverse. So we might revive that. But right now, I'm focusing on understanding how to use AI in education. I'm also an advisor to the Ministry of Education of Lithuania in order to apply AI in education. So like talking to OpenAI, to all the other big players. By the way, it seems Google is winning this thing, and really trying to understand, you know, how to use, you know, centralized AI in centralized education. But I've also spent a few years trying to understand what could be the decentralized future of education, and especially your personal knowledge credentialing, and in the future, twinning, you know, having your knowledge twin. And could it be on a centralized infrastructure? I doubt so. And therefore, we need to build it on a blockchain, because this is the most valuable thing, you know, you have, you know, all of your knowledge, your predispositions, your values in it. And I believe that in the future, we'll have, you know, extended brain, and we should have a secure connection to that extended brain. Okay, that was a bit too much. It's evening here.
Yeah, we
Anyways.
know that was great. And also Danny Ellis is the co-organizer of Crypto Mondays Vilnius, which was the 20th Crypto Monday I had the joy of visiting. So thank you for that. Let's see, next up is hold on a moment, is Julian.
Hi everyone, my name is Julian Gonzalez. I'm a tax attorney based out of Miami. I provide tax consulting and accounting services for mostly international people. So most of my clients are US based individuals or companies that have ties to foreign investments, or foreign people that have ties to US investments or pre-immigration concerns. So anything to do with US tax relations for international people, this is what I specialize in. So, I'm interested in how my experience and background can be of service here, and also what ways we can use AI and decentralization to push forward issues with tax concepts.
Very cool. Glad to have you aboard. And then
thank you.
last is Gustav.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you. I have participated, but I haven't introduced myself yet, so I thought I'd do that now. I'm in the legal team of Parity Technologies, based in Berlin. Parity is a software developer that's the essential software developer for Polkadot. Polkadot is a blockchain and an ecosystem with a full-fledged governance in its 2.0 version. Some say we are the biggest DAO. And I'm personally interested in AI, blockchain, and governance and how these things would work together. And super happy to be here and interested in what's going on.
Terrific. And have you been to any of the subgroups yet? Because I know James invited a bunch of his Polkadot colleagues to join subgroups.
I've talked to him, yes.
Yeah.
But I haven't been active yet. It's too much going on right now, but I'm hoping to be more active soon.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, if you're at the intersection of crypto and AI and you're not busy now, you're not doing it right.
That's true.
Okay, terrific. So I think that's everybody. So we get back to, let's see, the presentation. Where was it? There we go. So, okay. So new member self-induction now. Okay, general update. First, there are two general meetings a month for DAIAA. The first is the general business meeting, which is the first Monday of the month. This is, hey, Robin, you want to mute? Yep. Okay, thank you. If everybody should be on mute if they're not talking. And the other monthly meeting we have is the member showcase. Showcase number, and that is on the third Monday of the month. So showcase number 3 will be June 16th. If you want to showcase your agent, email info@daia.org. We record them. So if you want to see past showcases, you can go to our YouTube channel and see them. Also, we're going to be updating the website with sections for the subgroups. So if there's anything that the subgroups want to publish, that'll be a great place for them to be. Also, there was a great research piece that came out by Mary Meeker. And those of us who were old enough to be around kind of when the internet became an investable thing in, I think it was 1996. Mary was at Morgan Stanley at the time and wrote an epic research piece. It was really the Bible for internet investing for years. Everybody on Wall Street had it on their desk. She went on to be a VC, Kleiner Perkins, for a number of years, started Bond a few years back, and they came out just with this epic 350-page research piece with all kinds of data on all kinds of different parts of it. So, we'll drop that in. I think it's one of the deepest pieces I've seen on the space. So, well worth the read. Also, Crypto Mondays, we were at Vegas, had a great time in Vegas, and know how many other folks on the call were there. But from a Bitcoin perspective, I found it super bullish. Not a lot of AI on the floor. There were some side events around AI. There was really only one AI company that I saw on the floor, and that was Frax. The stablecoin company has an AI startup. The next Crypto Mondays, at a major event will be at ETHCC, which is being held in Cannes this year. So if you're going to be there, let us know. Okay, subgroup updates. So we'll start with agentic commerce, then data ownership, conversational voice agents, legal issues, and AI management systems. And Eric was not able to make it from the agentic commerce. So he asked me to read, I'm just going to read a part of it and I'll put the rest in the message. But at the May 26th meeting, they welcomed new members and showcased emerging tools. Jorge shared updates on Agent Monday and its Telegram bot for capturing shared community knowledge as structured data. Ian Barnes just introduced himself to veteran and traditional payments. And Crypto Checkout Solutions joined to share insights on bridging large merchant systems. into Web3, highlighting the need to simplify on-off ramps and support fiat-settled crypto payments. Vivian Key introduced Ram.ai, blockchain-powered luxury fashion marketplace, using agentic AI to personalize shopping and manage tokenized brand campaigns. And Shamir and Leon demoed Ensemble, a stack enabling agent identity, tax verification, and micropayments alongside Agent Hub, a decentralized marketplace where agents can offer services to other agents and humans. And so that is the update on the agentic commerce subgroup. DAIAA, you want to give us an update on data ownership?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So at our last meeting, we basically agreed that what we really want to do is, in addition to thought leadership and being this think tank, is to try and anchor that in real world examples through things that we collaborate on. And we agreed that the first of those would be anchored around the use case that we're working on with Drumwave and ELIZA Systems, whereby there's an initiative for data ownership and data monetization in Brazil. So really anchoring that as something that we can really center our thought leadership around, where we can do lots of real sort of use cases around that. So we're making good progress on that. iCubes and ELIZA Systems are partnering to form to work on that, and then our next meeting, which is on actually this Wednesday, we'll start to dive into that deeper with the rest of the subgroup around what initiatives, what papers we can draft around that initially. We also honed in that to get a sort of regular cadence, that our meetings will be held the first Wednesday of every month, so that we can just like have a bit of a standard drumbeat, and then everyone can know when it's going to be and align themselves with it accordingly. So that's pretty much it. So this Wednesday will be the next subgroup update, and the next subgroup meeting, and we'll dive into some more detail around these initiatives specifically then.
Yep. Thanks, DAIAA. Next is the conversational voice agent subgroup, and Joey and Peter weren't able to make it to the call today, so
well, I'm here now. I was
Okay,
waiting
terrific.
for my appointment, but
Awesome.
it hasn't started yet, so I have a few minutes. But I shared with Lou how on our last meeting we had 3 members showcase, and we had John Muldoon from Interflex on show how he's using AI agents with virtual reality or as avatars, able to do coaching at scale. So imagine, doing management or sales or customer support training, where you walk people through actual scenarios, and people learn best by doing. And in fact, my niece, who's graduating from nursing school, I found out like she had to go through this whole thing where they hire actors and you see how you interact with patients as part of her final grade. So I'm sure that's really expensive, and AI agents are going to be a much more cost-effective way to provide, that, and then provide the analytics and the feedback. So that was a really interesting presentation by John. Another person, Sean from NovaWork AI, explained how he's using or working on a project to create an AI golf caddy. So where he's combining robotics plus conversational voice AI agents plus wearables. So he's actually developing a glove that the golfer would wear. And so that sounds like a really interesting project. And I know someone else on the team here was also working on a similar project that Lou
T-Box Caddy.
presented. Yep, for an AI golf caddy. So it's funny that 2 people are working on a similar project.
Yeah.
And then third, Joey from Nova Echo gave an update on what they're working on with the 2.0 version to make AI agents, the conversations better, to identify different points where there's pauses, to provide more granularity if like it's the end of the conversation or the beginning of the conversation, to make it feel more natural. things that we all sort of take for granted when we're having a conversation, people interrupt us, the AI agents can get a little bit screwed up. So they're focusing a lot on those aspects. So for example, Lou just said, aha, like an AI agent might say, okay, the person has talked. Let me now pause for 3 seconds and see if Lou has anything else to say. But I know he was just saying an aha, so I know I can keep going, So they're working on things like that. The other thing that really came across, those all three people talked about like the need to make AI agents more personalized. And so, so the guy with the golf caddy is like, hey, it's not just like, hey, how do I improve anyone's golf swing? I want to know how to improve your golf swing and how to best interact with you as a caddy, and what style and personality and voice do I need to have to be most effective with you? John from Interflexon admitted that, people learn differently and one style does not necessarily fit all. So it has to adapt to your management style and your customer support style and your leadership style. And then Joey from Nova Echo talked about how, when people call back for customer support, it needs to have that long form conversation and know, like, hey, where did we leave off? So it doesn't go through asking the same questions over again. So they all touched upon this common theme of like, how do we store data in a secure, safe way for this? And so I think for the next conversation, we'd love, Deli, if you could join us and we sort of have a deeper conversation about this and how we can maybe work together towards solving those issues that it was common across all three of those showcases.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I think that really is becoming the key emergent factor with AI and agentic AI specifically is around memories and data. I agree. So yeah, happy to do that. Let's just catch up offline so that I'm well prepped and make sure that I've got it locked in my schedule.
Awesome. Yeah. So the next one, Lou, if you could put the stuff in the chat from my email for people to like register for the next one or watch the video from the last one. I put that in my email to you if you could share that with the team. And I got to run to my appointment, but it was great catching up with everyone. We'll see you soon. Look forward to the next showcase.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Sure. And I just dropped in the information for the next conversational voice agent meeting into the chat. And let's see, we are now going to legal issues. Adam? Is Adam here? Adam Miller going once? Okay. Well, we'll have to get an update from Adam at a later date. And then Jason with the AI management systems.
Yeah, thanks, Lou. We actually just had our first conversation not quite 2 weeks ago, and one of the things that we agreed upon was that time slot seemed to be pretty well. And this week coming up, it's going to be bi-weeklies on Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern time, but it just so happens that an enterprise grade AIMS, AI governance platform solutions provider is having a conflict at that same time. And I actually posted in Telegram in the AI management system subgroup, and I'll actually throw a link in here just to make it easy for everybody on Zoom if you're interested in that. And right now the standing thoughts are, if that conversation, that webinar from credo.ai doesn't go the full hour, that we can hop on the existing Luma event. And let me throw that in there as well so that you can see the normally scheduled, and we'll be facilitating those conversations on Luma on a, again, bi-weekly basis. So just looking forward. It looks like this one on the 5th, and that's a question mark because of the credo.ai. And then the other opportunity will be again in 2 weeks on the 19th of June at 2 p.m. Eastern time.
Cool. Okay, thanks. And so those are the 5 subgroups or 4 subgroups that have ongoing meetings. And now we have a few subgroups that are in the process of either announcing themselves or having their first meeting. And why don't we start with Daniela? You're gonna start an AI in education subgroup?
Yes, I would like to gather people that are interested in education and AI use cases. And I already see some themes that are common. For example, decentralized AI data storage, personalization. It's all the same. I think the stack is all the same. It's just the use cases different. And you have to come with the know-how of the space. Education is a bit different than customer service or something else. So you need to understand some pedagogical approaches, some learning styles, etc. So I'd like to invite everyone to join the subgroup so that we can define the meeting time of the group. Right now, I think there are only 2 members, so we need a few more. And I think there will be a lot to discuss and consider. First of all, how does the decentralized AI compete against centralized AI? Because when I spoke to Open AI's education team, the leaders of education team there, they said that the main use case of ChatGPT is education. At the same time, we don't know what's inside the model, what values does it, have, what bias does it have towards, I don't know, countries, ethnicities, etc. And how then thinking about, different countries around the world, these contexts might differ. And thinking about personal liberties, also, you might choose different values for yourself than the ones maybe that your sovereign AI is trying to push. So there are many discussions, and at the same time, there are very practical use cases of how we can help people to learn better, achieve more, and work with their knowledge base, let's say.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
inviting everyone.
Terrific. Yeah, well, so we'll obviously help make sure that all the members are aware of the new group. And also, I think this is one of the areas that DAIAA has benefited from a recruiting standpoint is, to the degree, obviously, you're knee deep in the education space. You probably know other folks who could benefit, and be good additions to the alliance. So, you should invite them to the, broader alliance and your subgroup in particular.
Yeah. So actually, Bidigri is the largest and leading independent crypto education academy out there. We are smaller than, those of Coinbase or Binance, etc. But from the independent ones, we are, doing
Rock and
well.
roll. Cool. Congrats. Okay. Thanks, Daniela. Next, Andy Singleton, you want to talk about the investing agents subgroup?
Yeah. So I've gotten a lot of energy out of the agentic commerce group, which talks about how agents use money. And there's really 2 main threads to that. One is payments, which is a huge growing area now with stablecoins. But the other is agentic investing. How do agents and how does AI help us interact with crypto during our investment process? So that's what we're going to be exploring with the agentic investing subgroup. And we will have a call on Thursday at 12 o'clock Eastern time, 9 o'clock Pacific. And I hope you join the agentic investing subgroup where you will see a link to that. This is going to be of interest to people who use AI investing workflows either professionally, so they're packaging that as money management, or personally. And hopefully we'll start out the professional end. We'll look at product categories where AI is adding value in money management. We'll look at structures for offering those products, and then we'll move on to the general purpose infrastructure that makes it possible for AI to use crypto. That's sort of a match made in heaven. So hopefully chat with me on the new channel.
Perfect. My assumption is over time it's going to be one of the more larger subgroups. Because certainly it seems like investing is one of the big, hits, that's getting traction or in the early days of AI agents.
Yeah, that's been the leading edge. And so
Yeah.
we expect to make a lot of progress going to market with this stuff, maybe even ahead of payments. So let's do it.
Okay, terrific. And I'm not sure if Mel is here, but Ben-Hur, you also already mentioned the upcoming governance subgroup. But if you guys, I don't know, wanted to put any more meat on the bone.
Yeah, I think our top priority is just to get a sense of all the existing subgroups and at least attend one of those meetings before having our first. But from all the notes I've been taking thus far, it looks like we may be targeting the third week of this month, but I'll be sure to update that and get a clear sense of when the other groups are meeting to make sure there isn't any double booking.
Okay, cool. And if you haven't seen it, I just put in a link to our YouTube channel. So we do have a couple of the subgroup meetings up there. So that's actually another thing that we'll be talking about is we'll going to be getting some help getting a little more organized and making sure that all of the subgroups are recorded so we can put them up on the channel. And if people who missed them, want to watch them, they can, they'll have an opportunity to watch them. And then I don't know, we've got an upcoming one subgroup on government. So as opposed to governance, which is, how do we govern these, decentralized things, the government, and I know it's Gerard here. I do not see Gerard here. Okay. But, a lot of people are building AI agents that they hope to, sell to government or, somehow, interact with government. And that's what that pending subgroup is going to be working on. And, it's actually kind of the first partnership between DAIAA and kind of an outside organization. So the folks who are going to be chairing that subgroup are with the GBA, the Government Blockchain Association. And it's actually an organization that's been around for a number of years, and has actually gotten, a lot of traction in helping people, work with governments around the world. And so, they're gonna, and they're very excited about AI agents and working with us. And so hopefully we'll be able to, that'll be a great partnership. Let me get back to the presentation.
Their role is going to be to deal with DC basically.
Or any government. So not
Any
just
government. Okay.
not just in the US. So yeah, here are the pending ones. And then
I've been to a few of those GBA events in DC. They're very interesting and also very government oriented.
Yeah.
Reminded me of when I lived in DC.
Participating in that one, but
yeah, it would drive you insane, I think.
Yeah, it felt like more than half the speakers at the Bitcoin event were government related. And certainly, I heard JD Vance, it was packed. But so the open discussion part of the meeting here. So if anybody has anything to say, we're just going to open the floor in a moment. But I will say, one of the things that obviously the DAIAA is set up for is, we're here to optimize the utility of our members. And so I think, giving the members an opportunity, to talk about whatever they want to talk about, if it's an upcoming event that they're, potentially putting on or just going to be at, or, a product release or just anything, if there's big news over the last week, meaningful news for people that they want to, just throw out there and that's what this part of the, monthly general meeting is for. So, again, I would go just stop, see if anybody, has anything to say. You can raise your hand or just feel free to talk. This is the open discussion part. Okay, Lakshay?
Hey, Diaphragm. Thank you so much, Louis, for having me here. So quickly, just to give you a quick intro, I'm new here. I'm new part of DAIAA. Lakshay, I'm the founder and CEO of Nexus Wide AI, and we are just trying to build the reputation layer for AI. Because we have to, and someone has to identify bad AI and good AI from the end user's point of view. So that's what we are building. I have a quick question. In Web3 in India, specifically region where I come from, I see a lot of projects that are building or that are getting supported through multiple blockchains and ecosystems of blockchains. Or are the projects who have their tokenomics, who can bring some what transactions on their chain, and they're just getting easy grants access and things like that. Whereas project like ours, who's really trying to solve a conceptualization problem and which can really help end users, is somehow having a gap in between, because we need tokenomics, we need a good token, but that would come to a certain part after at least we have an MVP coming up or a basically a setup, right? So how is it going in that particular region of yours or the ecosystem of yours, that where you guys are coming from? Is this the same that is going on, that we need to have all these Web3 specific or things cleared up first, or the problem solving gets appreciated through the ecosystem?
Yeah, I don't know. Are there any grant specialists on the call? I certainly am not one. Going once. Anybody? Yeah.
Hey, hey, this is Kevin.
Kevin.
This is actually my first time here. Well, I wouldn't say I'm a grant specialist, but I did receive a few. I think most of mine is from Singularity Net, and then I did receive one from the Polygon community. It's like with Crossmint. So I can discuss a little bit about the grant situation. if you
So
guys
can I,
want.
can I put you, so I'll put you guys in touch.
Okay.
Okay, cool. I mean, but from the limited experience that I do have though, Lakshay, I can tell you, my sense is it's not easy for anybody. People apply for a lot of grants and they get one. It's not like people apply for 3 grants and get 3 very often. I'm sure that does happen sometimes. And obviously I think it helps to be, a member of that community. So instead of, if you've never interacted with Polygon before and the first time they see you is with your grant, all else being equal, obviously, they're going to pick somebody who's been an active member of the community for years.
Agreed.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah. It's not easy for anybody, but thanks for the question. Steve, you want to say something?
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to, I won't talk for very long, but I can give a little sort of state of the industry right now. It's like updating every month these days, so fast. And it felt like, and my focus again as a transactional attorney, a lot of times comes down to what is happening in VC and investing. And then also in operations. So, we have this blockchain space, which is 13 years old, and is showing its age. I mean, meaning not in a bad way. It's just maturing. That's why everything you hear at BTC is about the government leaning in and looking at this. AI is very much more nascent, and the just a lot of the building blocks just don't even exist. You have to build your own to make things work. So it's just very early, and the investment gold rush is here, but it was sort of stopped in its tracks by the Trump tariffs, I think. I'm just guessing. That was my conclusion, but as a lawyer doing these deals, I feel like a telltale on the sale of what's going on. And the wind was just dead for months because everyone was looking at the Trump tariffs, and nobody wanted to write a check. Even people who had committed to writing checks in writing would not write the check. For some reason, they were transferring money. They couldn't make the wire go through. All of this, I don't know, sounded like bullshit to me, frankly. But checks just didn't get written, even when they were committed, and there was a signed document and legal claims could have been brought, write your check or I'm suing. Nobody seemed to do that. Everyone was just sort of afraid of what was going to happen. They didn't want to write checks. I've over discussed that. Then a couple of weeks ago, it just started going like balls to the wall, like just so much stuff happening at the same time, all at once. Deals coming in, people writing checks, deals getting closed. I think I closed 3 or 4 deals last week. One of them was it almost seems ridiculous, a $6 million safe round on a $50 million post in safes, toilet paper, basically, no government, no corporate documents, just all risk, with 3 or 4 VCs willing to risk $6 million on a company with no product that's selling at a $50 million valuation. Seems insane.
In the Valley?
No, New York. And that also is interesting. New York being a much smaller, very active place, but a much smaller actual transaction rate of money being invested in New York. A lot of noise, not as much real money being invested like in the Valley. So that's what I've seen. So it's all everything's on, everything's moving forward at a really high rate of speed. And I was really curious to hear a bit more about what happened at BTC. I tried to go, couldn't go. Would love to hear more about what the feeling was there. I mean, we had Bitcoin go up to 111 or 113, something like kind of significantly higher than the former high, and then come back down again. It's a little chaotic out there, feels like. Things are happening finally, not just not happening. The building never stopped. Nobody lost their nerve about what they were working on when the checks weren't being written. And now it just seems to be moving again, but in a chaotic way. Any comments on that?
Yeah, I'll just say, somebody who's gone, I went last year to to Nashville, and I hadn't been for a few years before. I thought last year was weird because Trump was coming, and that was the most exciting thing for most of the people there. It seemed like, less so for me. And it was just overrun with police because of, Trump. And
Right.
and this year, I would say one of the things of walking around the floor, there seemed to be a lot more projects building on Bitcoin than in previous years. And the Bitcoin conference, when it started, was really more for kind of maxis. And so those companies just they weren't welcome. But there were a lot of them at this conference, and to me, that's really the biggest sign. Far more so than than the government being there. I mean, because I don't believe the government's our friend, but there are a lot of people building on Bitcoin, and they're now in a kind of an accepted part of the community, and the maxis that I think kept them out. A lot of them really have stopped going, and there was kind of a backlash from the maxi community that basically anybody who went to Vegas should be written off.
Fascinating. Yeah, it is interesting that the Bitcoin blockchain is. I've seen the same thing. A lot of things getting built on the Bitcoin blockchain, and people just referencing it as being a solid place to build. Like a safe place to build.
Yeah, look, it's
hard to say whether that's true or not, but
yeah. I mean, I'd like to chime in on that as well. Actually, I think absolutely. I think you're seeing, as you rightfully noted, Steve, there's a government participation is a reflection of maturity. Bitcoin has the most maturity. It's got a lot of social depth. I think that was one of the things that actually struck me at the conference as well, that, there's a lot of social, cultural dimensions and depth to Bitcoin as a protocol that is now starting to be accepted as for its safety and its robustness. But to Lou's point as well, you could start to see the aperture is being forced open to let new projects on board. because you know, I moderated a panel at Tokenize, which kind of is a parallel conference that runs after there. And my sort of final comment was, the elephant in the room is the elephant that's missing from the room, right? Which is AI, because as Lou said, there was literally one AI company on the floor, which all comes down to the programmability, the evolution of the Bitcoin ecosystem. So and you know, and it was interesting, the panel's views. People were saying it could be as late as 2028 before AI comes to Bitcoin, because it's just a slower pace, which is nonsensical. You know, the 2028 is like a lifetime away at the pace at which things are moving, right? So I think there's going to be a force, you know, I think AI particularly is going to drive an evolution of the Bitcoin industry, and clearly it's there. There are, you know, some really interesting. There's a lot of work happening now to bridge Bitcoin with EVMs. Companies like and at a primitive level, non-custodial level, which really does play to the security of the ecosystem. David Chom gave a great presentation on the quantum threat and how that can be addressed. And I think the AI threat is comparable to that the industry is starting to awaken towards. So I think that's the real frontier of this innovation. When you can bring Bitcoin and AI together, that really is a narrative that I don't think there's any bigger narrative in tech, period, if we can get that right. And I think there's going to be a lot of focus on that and in the next few months.
So a question I have is the acceptance of tokens for compensation seems to be much bigger in the AI space. You know, people working on Morpheus, people working on Manifest in exchange for, you know, those tokens, which, you know, are they shit coins? They're not, they're just not like the tokens from a prior era. They're based on a solid AI infrastructure in the case of Manifest, and they're selling compute, you know, going to compete directly with Google and Meta, and OpenAI. So it's very interesting to me, watching what people are willing to accept in exchange for their labor. You know, you have to kind of go beyond the basic principles, I think, a little. And in decentralized AI, people seem to be very open to accepting tokens in exchange for their labor. In blockchain, they accept tokens, but only the tokens that you can exchange for currency. You know, I don't know how easy it would be to exchange your More or your I can't even remember what the token is called for currency, but you know, that's just an interesting thing, and I'd love to hear people's thoughts on that. I'm an attorney. I want to hear what programmers and, you know, operators are thinking about that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree with you completely. I think fundamentally there is a new economy that's emerging, and particularly in agentic as well. And without, again, boring everyone with the details, but I think there is an inevitability to decentralization when it comes to agentic AI that is not being the case before. And this is another thing that emerged certainly during the panel we had on Friday around this. That
so Tokenize was really good.
Exactly. Yeah, no, well, yeah, it was good. It was definitely good. And I think there was a lot of talk. There was talk, that was where there was the more substantial talk about AI, effectively, in that sense. It wasn't in the conference. Wasn't on the conference floor. But I think the consensus view generally emerged that, yes, that agentic AI is really, for the first time, a space where blockchain and decentralized technology doesn't have to justify itself anymore. It's a natural order of progression for agentic AI. And you can see this in the way that even the systems are being orchestrated currently, you know, with small, large, medium, large, medium, small models, for example. And with where the innovation in decentralized AI is really honing in on medium and small models at that agentic layer. But I think also that there is it's an existential threat, effectively, for, you know, in a sense. It's not really so much that it's an existential threat for Bitcoin, but you know, the pressure on Bitcoin becoming able to, I think what's going to emerge is that Bitcoin becomes the settlement layer for money, and then agentic commerce with all the variety of tokens really become the means of how that is executed. You know, it's like agentic commerce is the ultimate utility, right? These are utility to, you know, with that term that remember that ICO term, utility tokens, that kind of became the whole thing. Well, this is the true utility. Compute agentic AI is actually the true utility, and having different tokens for different kinds of utility, different kinds of and different economic models around that. I think, you know, micropayments is obviously a very strong argument for why crypto makes sense for agentic commerce. But I think the things like the staking models that Morpheus and the likes have pioneered are also new ways to actually transact and to, you know, monetize compute and inference in that sense. So I think it's inevitable that we're just going to see a lot more go on in that space. And I think agentic commerce, by definition, will have to become more crypto-centric overall.
Thanks, Dele. That was very informative for me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I'd like to add a bit more about the retail, you know, because we are education platform, we are onboarding new users into the space. It's interesting to see that we are at all-time lows in terms of new users entering the market. And it felt like, you know, Trump's tariffs killed the bull run, essentially. We saw a dramatic decrease in new users joining.
I'm sorry, what killed it?
Trump's
The bull
tariffs.
run.
Oh, Trump's. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so even though Bitcoin is like at 110K or something like that, nobody cares. New users are not entering. We see our web traffic and we really feel new users joining. It's at the bear market lows. And I really wonder whether there could be a catalyst reigniting this, you know, I don't know, bull market. Should we call it a bull market or not at all? And what that catalyst could be, because if not, and myself being an investor in, you know, like last year I invested in 20 companies in the space, most of them are underwater. Most of them haven't launched a token or actually ran out of money. And I wonder how other VCs feel, even those who invest in agentic AI space, you know, like it's not looking good. And unless we get more participation in the market, I think, you know, it will be really tough to do any venture returns and to attract further interest from retail.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like those investors that you said who are investing is this a short-term thing is the question for you, because they seem to be investing in the long term. You know, like investors in Manifest are, their mindset is you know, corporate control of all of AI is bad, and therefore I'm going to invest in the leading player that is against that. You know, kind of like a long-term thinking, a thesis where you're not going to cash out at the end of 2025, you know.
Yeah, I would agree completely. I think that, and look, no one has the answer. And of course, it's very difficult if you're an investor, and even more difficult if you're an operator. But there is a whole new time scale that is really happening. And you just look at the evolution of LLMs and what's happening in the LLM space. Look at the pace of adoption of agentic AI by AI companies, right? OpenAI, Microsoft, Anthropic. They've all just really launched their first agentic offerings in the last 2-3 months, really effectively. So there is you kind of have to, there are multi different sort of speed zones in which this is happening. There's a massive evolution in the agentic space that's happening with the agent development, but that's a different pace from LLM development. So this whole evolution, and in terms of when you can start to see returns, and is moving in a very different vector from the vector of innovation in that sense as well. And I guess the rubber will start to hit the tarmac when it comes to enterprise and, you know, business adoption of these. And I mean, consumer adoption is probably even still a bit further off than that. But it's hard to get a sense of when you're what milestones you need to be tracking as an investor to understand the progress of the industry accordingly, because there are many different velocities that this is happening in different dimensions at different velocities. But, you know, agents will help us figure that out.
Yeah. Michael?
Yeah, just to iterate off of what Deli mentioned, there there are a lot of companies that got into AI a bit early and over optimized on certain things that the latest models just do out of the box. So like imagine you spent 50 million to do research where OpenAI solved it or DeepSeek solved it, and now everybody that started it within the last year, the last 6 months is just like at the same pole position as you, to put it metaphorically. That's kind of where we're at now, which is in alignment with what Deli said, that, you know, we're going to see the fruits of the labor of what's happening right now in another year or two. And I think the companies getting into the game right now are at a tremendous advantage, because a lot of the stuff that people were doing a year and a half and 2 years ago, where you need to hire such a massive research team, spend millions on training their own models, you can just do something called distillation, where you take a big model that Facebook built, like Llama 4, and I was just at the Llama 4 hackathon in New York City this past weekend, and you can use that model to train a smaller model that you can run very cost effectively. So that is a major upside for people getting into the game now, because these big models exist. You don't need to build your own giant model. You can use the existing bigger models to make smaller models that do specifically what you need to do based on your own data. So that's what we're going to start to see a lot more of right now. And I hope I didn't get too into the technical weeds for people, and that it just kind of like metaphorically makes sense. If there's something I said that kind of went over your head a little bit, like just let me know. I'm happy to answer technical questions in a non-technical way.
Okay, well, on that optimistic note, thanks for the question, Daniela. Hopefully you got a good answer. Okay, and this is it, because I do like, you know, people do have to go. But Lakshay, you got one more thing you want to say?
Yeah,
So
just to add on there, when we just talked about the big LLM models and small LLM models, I just went through a small debatable thread on a Twitter post recently, where they were just talking about an on-chain AI agent built on a big LLM models, which just gives each user a different trait based on same prompts if we are telling them, right? So where there were just people who were just sharing their insights within the comments, that how it can be a good one, that if you just put the same prompt into the OpenAI model, but for the each user it gives you different traits that you can go for. But at the same time, how it is good, like they are the same scenarios, and you are not giving the same tokens to be done if they just want same profits, or it's all the same things, right? So there was a whole debate going on between people how it is good that we need big models to be done on the AI agents, and if we just have small models and same profits have to be booked, the AI will just tell all of them to just concentrate on some specific targeting and everything, right? So I think people and even the founders are still trying to think how the market and how traders are really will gonna think on the on-chain AI will gonna think in the future. Will it gonna be the same trades for each users, or will it gonna be the same different trades for based on the different users perspective, or maybe something. So yeah, just that.
Okay. Well, thanks for the last word, Lakshay. And with that, thanks everyone for attending the 5th general meeting of DAIAA. Have a good week.